Ah, yes. We turn to Ann Coulter now, who joins us live. AnnCoulter.com, by the way, to give us a little hope and encouragement here the day before the election. Good morning, Ann.
Good morning.
Okay, what do you make of all this? I mean, you watch this, you write about it, you talk about it, you go in these lions' dens with all these crazy liberals on a regular basis, like Bill Maher. What's happening here? Are we to believe these polls? What's going on?
I still think what I thought basically from the moment of Trump's announcement speech, that he's more likely to win than not. And, now we'll know. Is the country already finished? I'm tired of running people like Romney, whom I loved, but he did drop the immigration issue and ran sort of a standard establishment Republican campaign once he got the nomination. Trump is saying everything I think a lot of people, non-affiliated, not Democrats or Republicans, Democrats and Republicans, blacks, whites, Hispanics, Asians, have been waiting for a candidate to say forever. It's the American people versus the ruling class. And unfortunately, part of the ruling class is the media. So he has taken an unbelievable beating, as anyone would who came out with positions where you take America's side. I always say I feel like Trump is cheating by not taking the standard Republican positions or standard Democrat positions. He just looks around and takes the 80% popular position of every issue. And that's why they attack him and talk about his personal baggage. I still think he wins, but whether that's 51%, 60%, this isn't really scientific. But I originally never thought he would win Florida. It looks like he has a good chance of winning Florida. I think he wins Michigan, and that basically does it.
Yeah, that's it.
At least with the standard poll models. And I've noticed that the media, they're gloating over this being 50-state landslide for Hillary. A lot of what they're counting are the number of undecideds who have early voted. So in Florida, for example, I don't know the exact numbers, but it was something like 2.5 million Republicans, registered Republicans, early voted, but 2.7 Democrats early voted. Meanwhile, roughly, and again, these numbers are approximately, you can look it up yourself, 1.3 non-affiliated people voted. Well, I mean, I don't know. We'll know tomorrow night, but I can't imagine someone who really wants to register to vote, just to vote for Hillary. Why not just register as a Democrat? What's the disincentive? I mean, we could be seeing the biggest Bradley effect in world history. Well, and the media will have deserved it because they've spent the last 15 months throwing every possible type of mud at this guy. If you're going to call him Hitler for one solid year, don't expect people to give you an honest answer if you call them and ask who they're voting for.
Well, that's why I love your column. By the way, Ann Coulter with us, AnnCoulter.com, and her most recent book, In Trump We Trust, E Pluribus, awesome. But your most recent blog post is, let's humiliate the media. Vote for Trump, humiliate the media. And I think that's a great idea, and that's exactly what will happen.
Yes, there has got to be a reckoning with the media, no matter what happens on Tuesday. This is just unbelievable. There's very little trust in institutions at all anymore. Back not that long ago, I think it was around in the 80s, something like 70% of Americans thought that the government was working to help the American people. It's down to about 20% now. Same thing with the media. And the media has done itself no favors this campaign season. Just the hysterical lies from beginning to end. But I think ultimately, well, we'll see. But people who are an interesting fact about the Hispanic vote, as it's generally termed, which is kind of crazy because Colombians don't see themselves as Mexicans. Liberals and the RNC don't understand this, but these are different groups of people. They think of themselves as Colombians or Puerto Ricans first. They're not all Mexicans. But what was I going to say about them? Well, it's just assumed that they are going to be voting in bloc for Hillary. Oh, I know. This was the important point. Of Hispanics who speak English, a majority support Trump.
Well, there you go. That's a stat that you're not going to hear anyplace else.
I mean, by 1 point, but still, this is how Democrats win. And you saw over the weekend, you can see the video, though they were denying it exists on MSNBC, of Obama telling illegals they can vote. This is how Democrats win. It is not by going out and persuading the American people. And, I mean, if anything, probably your listeners, I know it's true with me, if anything, over my lifetime, I know lots of Democrats who have switched to Republican. I don't know any Republicans who have switched to Democrats. Democrats know this. They're not winning the argument. They're bringing in ringers to vote for them.
Exactly. And Coulter with us on KSFO. And the voter enthusiasm, we've had so many people call in from all over the country this morning, people here in California who ventured off to Reno this weekend to see Trump. The enthusiasm is off the charts. The mainstream media is trying to hide the lack of enthusiasm for Hillary. So talk to us about this enthusiasm gap, because I think it's significant.
I do too, and I can see being out there why it makes a difference. One of the things you often hear is, but Hillary, she has the data mining and the ground game and the canvassers and all of these people on her payroll working to get out the vote. And Trump doesn't have that. He just goes around and gives these speeches to 20,000 people 3 or 4 times a day. But this is where the enthusiasm gap makes a difference, and in 2 ways, just off the top of my head. I was doing a book signing out in New Jersey this weekend, and I'm driving to the book signing. There's a big storefront, just an empty storefront, but it has huge Trump signs all over it. So at the book signing, which was like half a mile away, the people who knew about the bookstore, they drive us down to it, and it's just the guy who owns the pub next door. He happened to have an empty space, so he turns it into a Trump support center. They have all these signs they're giving away, huge signs inside, Hillary inside a prison cell, 2 life-size cardboard cutouts of Trump. It was totally fun. They have Trump wine. They aren't paid by the Trump campaign. Right. They're just doing this on their own. Is there anyone working for Hillary who isn't being paid?
No, you're right. They're all on the payroll. Okay, so in Trump we trust.
He's able to, for example, that when he commented, and you notice the media went mental, when he commented on, look, this is rigged. It's rigged to benefit the ruling class. The election is rigged. They went mental over the election is rigged thing. But what that did is unleash all of his supporters to volunteer to be poll watchers. Suddenly you started seeing stories of people reporting on actual vote theft. The enthusiasm does make a difference.
And I mentioned, the tagline to your In Trump We Trust book, E Pluribus Awesome. He is the only candidate that could have generated this type of enthusiasm. Yeah. He's a rock star, he goes. Here's a 70-year-old rock star.
Yes, and who was it? Hillary had, I don't know, LeBron James and Katy Perry.
Right, and he couldn't pull a crowd.
Still gets more people.
Yes, exactly. That's the kind of enthusiasm we've been waiting for, Ann, for years.
Yes, I mean, there are, as we've all commented on, as I say in the book, no one's voting for Trump because of his personality. It is his issues. It is building the wall. It is using immigration policy to benefit the people who already live here and not having pointless wars in the Middle East. It is his issues. But on the other hand, as I also say in the book, there are a lot of advantages to having his personality and his background.
Yep, absolutely. There's no question about it. So he was
proud. He's pugilistic. He fights back. I mean, I can't imagine someone like Mitt Romney withstanding the attacks Donald Trump is. And anyone would come under these attacks if you push positions that benefit Americans but do not benefit hedge fund managers, Silicon Valley, Wall Street, government contractors, and basically all of the political consultants, everyone who lives in Washington, D.C. If you are not benefiting the rich and powerful, the ruling class, you will be called every name in the book as Donald Trump has been. Anyone would.
I have to ask you one more question, because even though we don't have time, I've got to ask you this, because your wit, and your ability to just think on the fly. We now know from WikiLeaks that Hillary was actually using her maid to print out emails that were confidential. Please discuss that. Please just take a whack at this for us.
It's amazing. It just never ends. This is why you don't see her boasting about Comey, quotes, clearing her. Oh, and by the way, I was live on radio at an event up in Boston, the Howie Carr Show, the Friday that story broke. Very first thing I said was, and the crowd was very disappointed when I said this because they were cheering and happy, and I said, don't get your hopes up. I think this is a bait and switch. He's going to, quote, clear her, next week, and then they'll say, oh, poor Hillary, she's a victim, she's innocent. That's the way the October surprise goes. So, no, I think Comey has been exposed as a stooge, but she can't really talk about it because it just reminds people every place the Clintons go, they turn the people around them into criminals. There is just corruption, double dealing. Oh, gosh, right. I didn't know I shouldn't use a private server. And now giving it to the maid to print out the classified documents. Oh,
gosh. AnnCoulter.com. And again, the book, In Trump We Trust, E Pluribus. Awesome. Ann, thank you. We really appreciate you spending some time with us.
Absolutely, and everybody vote. Even in California, they're going to be bitching about the popular vote, so every vote counts.
Right on. Ann Coulter here on KSFO.